What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bass. In today's video, we are talking pond fishing, and I have my top baits for summertime pond fishing. For those of you guys that watch the channel fairly often, you guys know that I grew up pond fishing. That was my start. Before I had a float tube or an aluminum boat or anything like that, I would grab my rods, throw in my backpack, and I would go pond fishing. And we still put out pond fishing videos on the channel fairly, every quarter or so. I still love doing it. I love doing it with my kids, teaching them kind of that grassroots bass fishing, right? It doesn't matter if you're in a city park pond or you're out on a farm pond. Pond fishing is where a lot of us bass fishermen cut our teeth. Summertime is awesome. That is one of my favorite times to ditch the boat and go pond fishing, right? You got smaller bodies of water, you got lots of grass. I love power fishing. We're talking frogs and flipping and pitching and creature baits, big Texas rigs. There's a lot of things you can do this time of the year, but I love throwing a topwater. So my number one bait, and I just got, I don't know, a handful of them for you, but my top bait, if you had to just give me one to go pond fishing this time of the year, I would drop it. It would be a frog. Now, I know there are a lot of frogs on the market. Matt and I like a lot of really nice frogs. One of my favorite popping frogs is a jackal gavacho, but we are trying to save money, right? Pond fishermen, a lot of times it's kids, it's young anglers, it's guys that don't have a lot to choose from, and I have some favorites, right? I have some awesome baits that typically won't break the bank, and they work great. So frog fishing, my number one bait is going to be a popping frog. In my mind, I'm thinking grass, right? Now, if you are an angler that fishes like city ponds, where I've even seen ponds where the bottom's like cement and you don't have grass, you can make some exceptions and change out the top water. I'll give you some options for that. But if you have any grass at all, I'm going with a Spro popping frog. A little bit cheaper than the gavacho, great action, easy to walk, it pops, you can fish it like a weedless popper. So if you are a guy that is pond fishing and has grass, this is a go-to bait for me. That guy right there, if you want something that you can walk a little bit or not necessarily throw the popping frog, want a little bit bigger profile, I'm going with the Scum frog. Guys, this is a frog that we've added to our arsenal over the last couple of years. It is by far the softest frog I have in my frog box. It comes out of the package super soft. You guys that throw frogs a lot know there's tricks to boiling them or putting them on the dash of your truck and let them get soft. This thing comes super soft right out of the package and it has some amazing colors. Look at that bluegill pattern right there. But guys, my number one bait, if you could only have one to go pond fishing right now, it would be a frog. Number two, okay, in my mind, obviously there's different types of ponds, right? There's ponds that are shallow, there's ponds that are deep, there's ponds that are big, ponds that are small, ponds with grass, without grass. But another bait that'll catch fish in both types of ponds, grass, no grass, is going to be some kind of soft plastic jerkbait. These things are weedless. You can throw super stout hooks. That is a super line hook. You can get real aggressive in that sparse grass. You can get real aggressive in laydowns or over shore grass. But a jerkbait, a soft plastic jerkbait, is my number two bait, okay? In my left hand, that is the Zoom Super Fluke. And this guy right here, that is the X-Zone Whiplash Shad. You can see a little bit bigger, extremely soft. This is a bait that you don't have to hit as hard, and it has all sorts of action. And then obviously the staple, the Zoom Super Fluke, these are great options. The reason these are my number two baits, if I could only bring two rods, it would be the Topwater rod and a rod that I could throw this bait on, this style of bait on. because I can fish it fast. I can fish it over grass. If I get hung up, I can pop it through because it's weedless. And then when you do jack them, you got a super line. That's a 3/0 or a 4/0 Gamakatsu EWG super line hook. That is an awesome, awesome soft jerkbait hook, but you can get real aggressive. And typically, at least the pond fishing that I've done, the main forage is primarily panfish, bluegill, those types of things, right? Those are the fish that those bigger fish are chasing. And with that soft plastic jerkbait, I can get real erratic. I can rip, let it fall, and it's gonna kind of swim down the edge of that grass line or lay down or shore grass. I can fish it in and around that. So that is my number 2 bait. All right. If I had to add a third one, which I would typically bring 3 rods. I would bring a rod I could throw topwater, primarily straight braid, right? Power fishing, that's what I'm gonna throw my frog on. I'm gonna throw that soft plastic jerkbait on my second rod. And then my third rod, I'm gonna have a rod that I could throw either a worm or, my personal favorite for pond fishing, a Texas rigged creature bait. Okay, again, weedless, super line hook. This is something that you can fish around through the grass, same type of stuff, around through the laydowns, and fish eat them. This guy right here specifically, that's the missile baits, that's the destroyer. This color specifically, that's copper chopper. And the reason I grabbed this one, again, I mentioned bluegill earlier, okay? This has some blue tint to it. I'm not sure if it's gonna show up well in the camera. Green pumpkin, black flake back, and then has that kind of pearlescent or iridescent blue to it. And those fish that are chasing bluegill, those fish that are eating bluegill, this is a phenomenal bait. You know, I like to throw this. Another bait that you could throw would be like a brush hog or a baby brush hog. I just really like this bait by Missile. It has longer appendages that has a lot of action when you're just dragging the bait. Again, having it Texas rigged, you can fire it out there, and all you're doing, you're just popping up through the grass, letting it fall. You're dragging it. That's where those longer appendages come into play. You know, those fish are down there just kind of scoping this thing out, and those little appendages are just kind of spinning or twisting in the water. And every once in a while you get that blue flash, which really comes into play when you're fishing around bluegill. And then most importantly, it is weedless. So one of the biggest things with pond fishing is you can't go out and get your bait. So if you're throwing a lot of baits with treble hooks or exposed hooks, when you get hung up, you basically have to break off, which kind of sucks. So that's why I highly recommend a Texas rig creature bait. Okay, that's my number 3. Now I do want to backtrack one deal. Those of you guys that maybe don't need to throw a frog, if you're on a pond that doesn't have a lot of grass, or you have open water for your surface, nothing really to get in the way, I would throw some kind of either whopper plopper or walking bait. So I will leave that up to you, but I will link my favorites down below in the video description. A whopper plopper is super easy because you can throw it out there, plop, 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 pause it, plop, 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 plop. You don't have to worry about it sinking. Again, throwing a buzz bait or something like that sinks, you're gonna get hung up. So I like that style of moving topwater bait if I'm going with something that's not the frog. But again, my number 1 pick is gonna be the frog because I can throw it right into the thickest junk and bloop, 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 bloosh, right? It's just so much fun. All right, the next, let's put this one back. The next bait I'm gonna recommend is some kind of soft plastic stick bait, okay? Where did that fluke go? Guys, I love the Yamamoto Senko. Again, we're talking about budget friendly. We're talking about being able to go buy a handful of packs of baits, go buy a handful of baits, a couple rods, throw them in your backpack and go fishing. So I love the Yamamoto Senko. That is my favorite stick bait. However, when I'm going pond fishing, and I'm going, again, most of the ponds that I fished or have fished, the fish aren't highly pressured. Some of you guys that might be fishing parks or fishing city ponds, you might need the Senko. You might need all that extra lively action. You know, that in my opinion, that has the best fall, especially wacky rigged, of any stick bait. We've done underwater footage of them. But this guy right here, this is the Big Bite Baits trick stick, okay? Does not break the bank, and you can rig it on the same hook that you rig your soft plastic jerk bait on. But again, I have this Texas rig. I have it exposed where I have that thing weedless. That is super important for you guys that are shore-based fishermen, right? Anything that gets hooked out there and snagged and hung up, you basically lose. Unless you're throwing like powerful, strong, unbreakable braid where you're gonna bend that hook out, you're gonna lose that lure. So that's why I like that weedless deal. And that's good for throwing in and around the laydown, the brush. A lot of the ponds I fished, you know, some will have like trees that have fallen over, or the beavers or something have gnawed and chewed down. You know, I am high stepping through tall grass. So on that note, make sure you're wearing pants, light pants, spray for ticks, specifically wear light pants. I have some of my favorite AFCO pants are tan, just for that reason. If I am walking the shore, I can look down and be like, oh, there's a tick. Oh, there's a tick, right? You can just see the bugs. Those of you guys that have walked the shore, you guys know what I'm talking about. So light pants, a little bit of a tangent, but again, that guy right there, a soft plastic stick bait. That little Big Bite Baits, that trick stick is awesome. The Yum Dinger is awesome. Heck, even those big bulk packs from Tackle Warehouse, I think they have maybe 25. Don't quote me on it, I'll link them down below in the video description, but they have like 25 and 50 packs of these stick baits, so that will allow you to catch a lot of pond fish. Now, last but not least, for those of you guys that need to fish a little bit deeper, if you only have one rod, you know, this rod will work for throwing your jerk bait, it'll work for throwing your stick bait, but I'm also bringing some kind of weighted worm, a shaky head. That is the net bait, the T-Mac. But again, being able to throw this thing out there, fish it in the stuff, right? I'm not throwing a drop shot. I'm not throwing, you know, the problem with the drop shot is you have that weight hanging down. It tends to get hung up sometimes in brush. The shaky head, I can get real aggressive with it. Again, pond fishing, these fish are typically aggressive. So, you know, don't, oh, that felt good. I'm getting extremely, I'm getting extremely aggressive with my hops and my shakes. And then I'm just dragging, drag, reel down, check it, shake, shake, shake. Nothing happens, pop, pop, let it fall. If I come into grass, pop, pop, free it up, let it fall. But again, I'm doing all of that while, get the sun in my eyes, remaining weedless, okay? But a little 1/4 ounce or 3/16 ounce shaky head, that is an awesome way to finish up. I don't know, is that top 5 or top 6 or something? I don't even know. What do we got? We got a frog or Topwater. We got a soft plastic jerk bait. We got a Texas rig, and what else we got? We got the stick bait and, yeah, shaky head, 5. So 5 baits for summer pond fishing. You know, if like I said, if you are fishing water that doesn't have a lot of grass, you can throw that walking bait or a popper or a whopper plopper. But guys, that is it right there. I'm not breaking the bank. I'm throwing awesome budget gear, stuff that I can throw in the truck, throw in my backpack, and not have to worry about it, because that is the grassroots for me of bass fishing, right? I was young little toddler, probably shouldn't have been walking by myself to neighbors' ponds, but I had permission, and I was throwing hula poppers and jitterbugs and Texas rig stuff, and just trying to catch a bass. So if that is you guys, heck, Even if you have one of the nicest bass boats on the market, park that thing in the garage, grab your kids and go pond fishing. There's just something special about getting back to the roots, right? Simplifying everything. But guys, if you're a pond fisherman and you need confidence in which baits to throw, these baits, I did it for years. The Topwater, the frog, heck, I've even hooked true story, I've even hooked a beaver on a frog. You wanna talk about an awesome blow up? My buddy Wes and I were fishing a pond. I'm walking a frog and I mean, you can imagine a tail on a beaver, right? Boom, just the biggest blow up you've ever imagined, and misses my frog. Twitch, twitch, twitch. Again, just a few seconds later, that thing, at the time I didn't know what it was, eats my frog. I set the hook, 65-pound braid, like a 7'4" heavy flipping stick. It's just power on power, and I'm fighting this thing, no drag. Mind you, I'm in a pond. Like I think I just hooked Free Willy, right? Like who knows, Walter the catfish? I don't know whatever names you guys have for your big fish in these ponds, but I'm fighting this thing, and sure enough, about 2 minutes in, this beaver tail walks. I'm not even joking. Comes out of the water with both of its front paws around my frog, and boom, just breaks the hooks. And I'm like, that was epic. Sorry, beaver, but that was really cool. You never know what you're gonna catch in a pond. But I have some amazing pond fishing stories growing up, some amazing memories, and really, guys, that's what it's all about, right? Building those memories, getting hooked on fishing. And if you're a guy that's either just getting into fishing, or if you're a guy that has the nicest boat on the lake, pond fishing can be epic, and it really kind of resets everything, especially for me. So I love doing it. I love taking my kids out. But there it is, guys. Those are my top 5 baits for summer pond fishing. A Topwater, if you can, a frog, straight 65-pound braid, power on power. You guys will have the time of your life. Soft plastic jerkbait, whether it's a fluke or that whiplash shad, different actions, those fish come unglued, especially when you work it fast on top and that bait's just skipping all over. You'll have some of the best, most memorable topwater explosions you've ever had. You know, that Texas rig, right? When you have to slow down or you have to fish in or through that heavy vegetation, that Texas rig creature bait is awesome. That is my go-to. If I have to slow down more, be a little bit more finessey, that's when I'm going with that soft plastic stick bait. And then rounding it out, number 5 is going to be that Shaky head worm. Again, a little bit bigger profile. You can fish it in and around and through that stuff, but you can fish it deeper. You can fish it more aggressive. It's not necessarily just the dragging like the Texas rig, the Shaky head. Guys, I challenge you. I try and do it. I try and get my kids out there. I try to get back to the roots. Bass fishing, it's what it's all about. If you guys like this type of video, give us a thumbs up. If you guys have any questions, please leave those down below in the comment section. I will try to get those as soon as possible. Guys, there's all different types of ponds. We talked about the city ponds, the park ponds, and then the farm ponds or the golf course ponds, right? Make sure you guys have permission. Don't want to get a ticket for trespassing, but man, some of those golf course ponds are legit. But guys, as always, we appreciate the support. I'll link all the stuff down below in the video description. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys on the next video.